Is it indeed? Why? It happens to be 2024, the year of our Lord and Savior, Rathma, Ramtha, Hail,
Nicely done.
Ramtha. Come
Whatever
to the
the name
Church
is.
of the Enlightened to find enlightenment. Praise the Lizard Lord himself, or their self. Ramtha is our Savior. He will burst forth and save us from our humanity and turn us from skin to scales. And we will survive the
Freaking my
oncoming
cat
age.
out, man. She needs some comfort. It's okay.
What's up, everybody? This is not another episode of Whispers of Doom. This is just us kind of just kicking back and hanging out, actually. Jacob is out on a I was gonna say retreat, but no, he's working, so not able to play tonight. So we're doing a different thing instead of trying to find a game to play. In the interim, we're just doing this. We're chatting, we're hanging out, we're getting to know each other a little bit better, and hopefully you guys in chat want to do that also. If not, we're just going to sing praise to the scaled one, Ramtha. That's
Right, Sean.
if you're like, what the fuck is Robert talking about? We were talking about lizard people and conspiracy theories and things of that kind previous to jumping in. So it was I find conspiracy theories absolutely hilarious, especially the lizard people one. But we can talk more about that later. As we kind of just get into this, maybe we just introduce ourselves. My name's Robert. I'm the game master. And that's it.
Okay.
Master,
Well,
yeah.
I'm just gonna hop in and say then
That's
I'm
his tombstone. The game master. That's all it says.
I'm
Game
Nick.
Master.
You can call me Big Red or just Red's fine.
Red's just fine.
Call you Red's fine.
Red's fine.
Great. Fine. Red
Nick,
vines. That's what I was
Big
thinking.
Red.
Sorry. Anyway, I'm Dylan, and that's it.
We're killing it with the awkward ending.
I think I feel like we're trying to outshort each other. Like they're just gonna be like, "Yo." Well, I
Word.
introduced you, so you don't even have to do it because I did it for.
Right.
Anyway, that's all I got. Shut up.
Hello, and then I just leave. Hi, my name is Cody. I'm also known as Bardtails here on Twitch. I haven't streamed on there in a hot fucking second, but someday I will return. When grad school is no longer murdering my time. Yeah. So looking forward to just hanging out tonight because I'm tired as fuck.
Yes,
Mhm.
same. I was like, I don't have to do any prep today. Not that I do any, anyways.
Stop. I know you do.
Yeah. To kind of like, I don't know. Do we just want to jump into some questions? Do you guys have questions? Any of you in chat have questions?
I think the
Kind of open forum.
You want? Let's start. We should let Nick talk a little bit about that lizard shit. That
Yeah.
yeah.
just
So
like
to
get a little bit
start.
more
Tell us-
info out of that.
let's
tell us
just
everything
because
about
chew
that.
on that a little bit.
Yeah.
So I live in a place which is called the Pacific Northwest, which is wild because in America
It's a magical place.
there's no other Northwest that's not Pacific. So that kind of bugs me. It's just, I'm not the Atlantic Northwest. In America, there's no such, so banter of that over.
Hot take.
But yeah, so here in
Hot
the
take received.
Pacific Northwest, I live in a little place called Yelm near the capital, Olympia. And we have this lady, Jay-Z Knight. She owns a compound on the way into town. And people pay her to come in and manifest and portray the word of the warrior god Ramtha. And they believe that they will protect us from the lizards when the lizards erupt from the mountain and come after us. And that's kind of been our folks tale around here. And when you started talking about lizards, I was like, oh shit, fun thing to talk about. Yeah, and I don't know if anybody I see Anchor Oregon here. You know what's up. Pacific, North,
Oh yeah.
obviously West.
Is that
So-
only Oregon and Washington that counts as the PN dub?
I say like Idaho, Washington, Oregon, and some Northern California.
But they don't
Mhm.
touch the Pacific Ocean. Isn't
Like
that why it's called
Cascadia.
the Pacific Northwest?
For me, I mean,
it's
I
on the
guess I could be
Pacific
wrong,
side.
but I just consider it like the forest. We have like the redwoods. To me, is
That makes sense.
that's where it all starts. That's where George Lucas was on acid and seen Sasquatch and came up with a Wookiee. I believe it.
I don't know why, but
What?
I
didn't know
thought
that.
you were. I didn't
I
either.
had
That's
but
my-
no
my
idea where that
personal
sentence
belief.
was going.
That's my personal belief.
I didn't
Is
either.
Oh,
that-
okay.
Okay. So a new conspiracy theory has
Yeah,
just
it's
been dropped
born.
by
Yes,
Nick.
right
Thank
now.
you.
So
Oh,
organic.
It's in the
That's-
water.
That's a myth I've never heard about George
Well, I mean,
Lucas.
doesn't it make sense? Those giant ass trees. He was probably like, "Whoa, I want to make a planet like this."
Whoa.
Yeah.
And then
Well,
seeing a
that's bro.
Sasquatch,
That is where they filmed Endor. It was all
You
in
know?
John Muir Woods.
and I
There
bet
you
you
go.
he's seen us.
Yeah.
I mean, like Sasquatch was like, "This guy's high as hell. No one's gonna believe him." And they
It's like
came
that
out.
scene in Tenacious D.
yeah, yeah,
Wow, that's been a hot minute since seen that. Holy crap.
yeah. The
Cascadia.
Sasquatch
I've never
is
heard
real
it.
big around here too.
Never heard it referred to it as that. It sounds better than the Pacific Northwest.
Cascadia
yeah.
sounds familiar.
It sounds majestic.
It's like one of those things like Jefferson, California, where they're like,
Oh.
we should just be our own thing.
Oh no.
Yeah.
It's
But
Jefferson
not
folk.
as politically oriented as Jefferson is.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah, those Jefferson folk are wild people. They want to break up California into, I think, 7 states,
Yeah.
which just sounds crazy. I mean, it kind
We're
of like
so off topic.
from their perspective, like I guess it makes sense because we're so goddamn big.
I don't know. You break California to 7 states. Vegas is gonna be over there like waiting to do something stupid. They're like
If you
free game now, right? Like Vegas
You-
2 right there.
you break California into 7 states, and that's 7 states they're gonna break off into the Mariana Trench eventually. So just one.
Maybe that's what we could talk about. Kind of like where have each of us lived? Like what are our origin stories? Like what brought us to this point where you are right now in your life? Is that
Oh boy,
yeah? Can we talk about that?
that's a lore dumb.
I probably have the most boring one. I grew up in a town that I now live 10 miles from. I lived in Chico. I lived in Roner Park.
Have you
I
ever
lived in
lived out?
Vallejo.
Ever lived outside of California?
No, I have a ton of family in the Midwest, so Iowa, South Dakota, Minnesota. So I go out there every summer. I've spent a couple of weeks out there, but I've never paid rent in another state. Never paid rent further than like 2 hours from where I was born. But I've traveled. I've been places. I mean, I like living in California, frankly. California Bay
literally-
Area is a nice place to live.
I literally live in the same development I grew up in.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
I'm like right down the road from where I grew up.
That's cool.
It's even like some of my friends that I grew up with live like right down the road. We all grew up here as kids, and we still live here now because it's cheap as fuck. Well, so and it's like my buddy, he rents a 3-bedroom for $800, and all the other 3 bedrooms are $2,400 now. But he's got a good deal with his landlord and something like so. His landlord would rather have him paying $800 a month than risk someone else. He's been living there for a long time, and he takes care of the house like it's his own, and $800 a month. So
It's fucking amazing.
Can't beat that.
Holy shit.
yeah, he would be. I mean, if he moved to get 3 bedrooms anywhere else would be insane.
Yeah.
For
Mhm.
For
So you haven't
real.
lived anywhere outside of would you say Yum?
yeah, I mean, housing is still pretty expensive. Obviously, Seattle is the most pricey area. Where
Mhm.
a studio going for like $3,000, but down here the housing crisis is affecting everywhere, and we live right next to a military base, so they're creating lots of housing, and the housing that they're creating isn't really affordable for all the people who live in the city. Just
Mm.
Oh, it's
Mhm.
kind of just geared towards the military folk.
yeah.
Interesting.
because right now I hear Fort Lewis, a joint base for Fort Lewis and McCord Air Force Base is like 10-15 minutes north of me if it wasn't rugged river and forest terrain,
As the crow
it's
flies.
like, yeah. So all night long we just hear
Oh, shit. Like that?
like all normal. It's like the windows are shaking. It's just normal.
Oh my god.
That's crazy.
It's just always gunfire
Yeah.
and grenades like all night long.
That sounds
Robert, that
like it's
would-
way too close.
Yeah, that's
We
yeah.
have on the maps right over the river is what's called Mock City, and it's just an empty city.
Oh, that's crazy.
where all the soldiers go train and do all
Oh,
this
I
stuff.
see
But
it.
it's
MOCK.
Yeah.
It's like Nuke City, Nuke Town.
yeah,
That's what it is,
that's where they do,
Nuketown.
and it's not very. So if you're looking at the map, the river kind of goes up around like this.
Yeah.
My development is in that northernmost peak. So I'm like in North Yelm, the most north you could get, because as soon as you're over the river, you're in a different county.
Gotcha.
So yeah, Nisqually River goes from the east side, from like Eatonville through McKenna, through Roy, through Yelm, Lacey, Olympia, out to the bay.
Jim Bob's chuck wagon. Look at that thing. I want
My brother lives.
I wanna
My
eat
brother
right
actually
there,
lives
right
near
next
the
to
delta
Nisqually
of the
River.
river. I could throw a message in a bottle, and my brother would probably find it tomorrow when he's fishing.
You ever eat at Jim Bob's chuck wagon? Nick?
I did, and they asked me to tip before I even sat down, and I never went back.
That's crazy. What the fuck?
I
Good
was
for
like,
you.
that's not how we do things.
That's funny.
But that
What
is like
the
a big
fuck?
T right there. A big T. That's what we call the McKenna Y. And that McKenna Y bottlenecks for hours. It's like, oh, it's Friday. You're at 4:00. It's like,
What?
Interesting.
Why is the
Yeah,
big
for a while.
McKenna Y a McKenna T?
Because we're rednecks.
What
so
did you just say?
It's like a
Because
T
it
on
is a
its
T.
side.
It's a T, but we
It's a
call
T
it
on
the
its
McKenna Y.
side. It looks like
It's
a T on-
definitely a T.
Yeah, that's
we
why I
just
was
call it a
confused. I was
Y.
like, why is it two different letters?
You ever seen a T on
point.
its side? It looks like a Y.
Yeah. That's what we've always called it. We're supposed to be getting, the rumor is of getting a roundabout there.
From the bay, we know what this
Big
means.
news. Oh yeah, we do. Yeah, get naked, you BZ.
Yeah.
Bring that back.
Arena real quick.
We're gonna confuse we're gonna confuse Cody more with our Bay Area slang.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, yeah, learn all the hyphy slang.
That reminds me of
next
something
week.
I know how to do. That's really
It's like,
funny.
how do you
I'd to
spell
still do this.
hyphy?
Can I do this?
What the fuck is a hyphy?
Try to spell hyphy. How would you spell hyphy?
HYFEE.
I cracked my fingers.
You weren't
to make
too far off.
That's
That's because you know
close.
high V.
Do
Oh,
I?
no, wait.
Oh, he doesn't.
Isn't high V?
You guys ever seen this
Oh my
before?
God.
What words are you saying to me?
I think
This is
this
like I'm learning a whole new language right now.
I think the
This is
Hy-Vee is like a
flashback.
Bible Belt kind of location.
No, it's like a grocery store. My grandpa used to work there in South Dakota.
yeah. It's all
This is like a flashback to the Muzzy CD from the other week.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
I feel like
okay.
I'm learning a new language
Yeah.
right now.
Hyphy?
Hy-Vee.
You've never heard hyphy?
No.
That's like for me. It's like if you're at the bar and there's like a bunch of dudes getting around, you're like, oh, we better go. Those dudes are getting hyphy. We better go across the
Yeah.
street.
Stupid, dumb, and hyphy.
Yeah, it's like just,
You ever heard
the
somebody
energy's
going
too
doo-doo
high.
dumb?
The vibe is too high.
Do you ever see somebody put a look on their face like they smell some piss? First, I do like this. Okay, we should rein this in.
Are
'cause
these
Cody is-
all the same word
it's
meaning
all
all,
hy-
these things?
This,
It's all in reference to each other in a way.
yeah,
Get hyphy.
What language is developing?
dude, yeah, it's like a whole vernacular.
I feel
Yeah.
like if there were a Muzzy CD for Western lingo, people, especially the children trying to learn it, would have a stroke.
It's not just Western. It's,
Yeah,
it's
look at
Bay
us.
Area.
We're talking about
It's- yeah, it
skibbity
is.
and whatever, and then we're
San
like,
Yeah.
Francisco
It's
Bay
like-
Area.
It's like the brain rot, but like regionalized.
I had to back off my kids because my kids are like doing the skibbity, all that,
Oh no.
and I was like, this is terrible. But then I listen to myself speak sometimes. I'm just as bad. It's like,
I can only think of one term right off the top of my head right now in the Midwest. And not even the Midwest. This is very much an Ohio thing. For those who are unaware, I grew up in Ohio, which was already a curse. But on the very eastern side of Ohio, what would you call somebody? Let's just use this is a feeler. What would you call somebody who lives in the city that you know is just like trashy? What is that word for you?
A finky.
Did you just make that up?
No, I didn't actually.
Okay.
It's another Bay Area term I heard from somebody else in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
Well, for a lot of people in the Midwest,
So like a low quality like a low, like it's not quality. I don't know, like a lower end city person. You know.
yeah,
what
think
you're
like
kind of
that.
referring to.
Think like that. For a lot of people that I've met, at least in the Midwest, that is a townie.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I've heard-
However, for me, I never used that word growing up. What I used was the term hoopy.
Oopie. Interesting.
And
Okay.
I thought everybody used that word because that's the only word I ever heard being used for multiple different things, but mostly trashy people in the city. That was what my parents used it for and everyone else around me. Then I got to my undergrad, which was in the same 20-minute vicinity, by the way, and met people from, all over the place, including just an hour north of me. And they were like, what fucking word are you saying? And I'm just like, what do you mean? And then I heard them say townie the one day, and I was like, what the fuck is a townie? And then it just became like this thing where it was like, oh, townie to me is how hoopy sounds to you, and vice versa. And so I've learned that hoopy is a very regional term for very eastern Ohio and Pittsburgh.
Huh.
Like into Pittsburgh.
Interesting.
And it comes from a Dutch word.
I had a friend who always called city people flatlanders. But then if you go to Seattle, it is the most hilly place I've ever been in my life.
Yeah,
so
truly.
that's not true. I hate Seattle. I would rather be on the flat land than go to Seattle because
I love. We drove
parking
into
on a
Seattle.
hill.
It was beautiful.
Going there is great
Huh.
if you're on like a train or on something like that, or on like a bus, But like having to drive like a truck or a work van up there and park is really, really lame.
Yeah, it's so weird. The terminologies that exist all over the US. No wonder people have a stroke learning English.
Yeah, for
Um,
real.
Yeah, hoopy reminds me of the word finky that I just said because I've only ever heard
reminds
people
me-
from Modesto using it.
Yeah. It reminds me of that, but then also like what Dylan said earlier with heefy or hyphy, whatever the fuck it is.
Hi. Get it right.
But here's the other funny thing is when you said that originally, my brain went to high school French class because of hi-fi radios and everything. Well, those in French, depending on who you ask, are hifi.
Okay.
And I was like, French term?
I do not speak French.
That's where I was like,
Me
wait.
neither.
My last name is French.
Oh. Well, yeah, now that I look at it, that makes sense.
It's Trepanier in English, which is like the way we pronounced it, but it's my grandfather always told me it's Trepanier.
Ooh.
That makes sense. Fair
Everything in
enough.
French just sounds better. Well, not everything, but
But
most things.
I love French.
his grandfather didn't know how to read or write, so
Mm,
it's kind of what they made it,
that's kind of my family's last name too. I won't say what it is on air, but when my family migrated from Italy, my great uncle was blind. And so when he had to sign the paperwork, he did his best. But he got some letters wrong. And then my last name was changed. So we don't know. We have no idea what our original last name is supposed to be.
Interesting.
We have guesses, but we don't fully know.
I've heard a lot of
Uh,
things like that of when people came to America, their
for
last
sure.
name was changed to be more Americanized to fit
Mine
in.
was. They changed the K to a CH.
Mm,
The
Same.
Scandinavian
Yeah,
K.
Yeah.
that's like
KMCH.
Eric with a K is usually a Scandinavian Eric.
Mhm.
I didn't know that. I just thought people were weird.
Well, you're not wrong, but
Yeah,
yeah.
that's also true. It might not be correlated, but
I don't think we heard from you, Cody, about your origin story. Have you lived in Ohio all your life?
So, yes, I grew up in Ohio.
Okay.
I lived there for the first 25 years of my life. I moved 5 years ago to Michigan, and I moved up originally for grad school, which I'm still doing, and that was the whole point. But now I really like it up here, so I don't know what's going to happen when I'm done. It also depends on what my partner is doing when he's done with school, which is also coming soon. So who knows what that's about to be. I have a feeling we're going to end up in Chicago. That just seems like the trajectory, which
Okay.
isn't just because of Boys Town and gay fun, blah, 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 blah. We don't really care about all that. We just like Chicago, and that was one of the areas where his big boy job has potential to make money. So
big Bulls fans.
that, sure.
Sports?
I'm a fan of bowls, but in a different terminology.
Oh.
And
Can you teach us that slang? Learn us something.
welcome to Gay Lingo 101, everybody. So for those who are unaware, the gay community is divided into many different terms. Many of them are related to animals. For example, I am considered a bear because I'm a large, hairy man. And some might call me a cub because I'm on the younger side, but it depends on who you ask.
It goes
And-
along with the whole cougar thing, I guess, too. You know,
It kind of does. You're not wrong. And then like a skinnier version of a hairy guy is an otter. Then you have bulls. Bulls are big, beefy, hairless men, essentially.
Okay,
That is a bull. So
like John
you
Cena.
could say
But
no.
you can't
John
see him.
Cena is not a bull.
Oh.
John
Okay.
Cena would just be considered a jock. That completely outside of the animal kingdom.
Regular ass dude.
I didn't watch enough
They-
wrestling to have this
Like,
innate ability.
if he had like a roid gut, he might be a bull.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like I'm talking like beefy, like CPAP level wearing beef
Okay.
man.
they're so strong they
They're
can't
so
breathe
strong
when
they can't
sleep.
breathe. Exactly.
Muscles are choking themselves out.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
That's why
I
no
wish-
one else can choke them out. That's their strength. They've always
Yeah.
I've been choking myself out for years.
I didn't choke
That's why-
at me.
I wish that's why I had to wear a CPAP, but no, I just have fucking sleep apnea. So yeah, no, that's a bull. But yeah, so I moved up here 5 years ago, and I enjoy it.
I got
And
I forgot where we were.
I can get there sometimes. Sometimes my brain lets me get back to the right place. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe, like I said, we'll see where I end up. But no, I have lived in Michigan for the past 5 years. And yeah, I like it up here. I wish that my program would have only lasted the 4 years that it was supposed to. But thanks to my original school up here turning into a political dumpster fire, I had to evacuate and go to my new school. So that's why my program is taking much longer than it should. Granted, as far as grad programs go, mine is incredibly long. It is 98 credits. Most grad programs are 40.
Holy shit.
So
I don't know anything
That's
about
crazy.
that, but I mean, it sounds significant. Almost double.
it's basically
Over
another
double.
undergrad. It's almost, I mean, for most people, it's at least 4 years for this degree, due to most people doing it part-time, as well as it just being so many credits. Like if I were to go again for counseling, I could finish that degree in 2 years. This is taking me at least 6.
God
That's
damn.
like industrial electrician level. On my end of thing, that's like the kind of time you'd put in to be the industrial electrician.
Right, and I will make half as much money as one of those. Depending on where I end up. But yeah. I envy Ethan's program. His program's also his is a little longer too. It's 4 years. But he is gonna have a 6-figure job right out of it. So
Yeah.
At least you have a sugar daddy.
I've been out of college for
pretty much.
decades.
I'm just planning on selling a kidney and a testicle. That's really my backup plan.
I was thinking about that today. Like, I already got 3 kids, you know. If we get like a bundle deal, you know.
That's the
take 'em
thing.
both.
Is I'm not gonna have kids. I have no desire to have children. It's not gonna happen anyway. Plot twist: if you're born a man and stay that way, you can't birth. So
yeah.
Snip, snap,
so exactly. Just take them. I don't need them.
snip.
Give me
That's fair, you know?
$70,000
That's what I'm thinking. Like, damn.
Is that what they're worth?
at least.
Yeah, I mean, and maybe we could find them on a different market, sell them for even more.
Oh my god.
Let's talk to the lizard woman. She probably will buy them for quite a pretty penny.
Making me
Bossack
think of
noodle?
Minority Report.
Oh gosh. Cool.
Well, Robert, you gonna tell us a little
Yeah, I
bit
was gonna
about
say,
your
Robert's
origin
yeah, I guess we
story?
should. I should talk about me, I guess. Let's see. Have I lived anywhere else? Yes, I have. I've lived in New York, Manhattan I was there for about 10 months. It's part of my externship for culinary school. So it was dope. I went to culinary school here in the Bay Area. In San Francisco, I went to the California Culinary Academy for their 2-year program. Did an externship for almost a year in New York to complete the program. Graduated, came back. I could have stayed there, but I missed my friends and family too much and just came back to the Bay Area and started working immediately. Yeah, no, I've lived in San Francisco, South San Francisco. I live in Vallejo right now. I feel like I'm doxing myself, but I'm just talking.
No.
It wouldn't be too hard to find me. I don't care. Yeah, I lived in New York. That was an experience. I almost moved to Florida, almost, because I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do after high school. I took a break from continuing community college and went to work as just like a security guard for a couple of years, and I was looking up schools that would teach me how to write code for games, so game design. And I ended up checking out this school called Full Sail. I went there for a week, and their program was just too expensive for us. And my mom found DeVry here in Fremont, so in the Bay Area, Fremont. I went there instead and tacked on a fuck ton of loans. And yeah, lived in Fremont for a couple years.
When I hear Fremont, I think Vegas.
Fremont Street, yeah, it's a good. Fremont Street's hella
I've
fun.
been there a lot.
Oh, it's like, what?
My wife's dad lives in Vegas, like 10 minutes from the strip and all that, so I've been there quite a few times.
Fremont's old Vegas. It's amazing though.
Yeah.
I lived in New York was fucking tight. It was super fun. But when I was working out there, finishing out that program, I was working 4 days a week, 4 on, 3 off, 10-hour days. It was super dope. Yeah, that's the only degree I have is in culinary arts. Finished that program. Didn't finish computer science or anything like that, but I work in IT right now, systems admin. It's been good. It's a good job. I like it, but I don't want to keep doing it. I ended up getting out of culinary because I had an epiphany into one of the very late nights at the restaurant I was working at here in this area, and I was like, man, I can't do this into my 40s or 50s. I'm making fucking shit. This is shit pay. This is not a good place to be. I'm in my like, early 20s, mid 20s, and if you're good at cooking, if you're good at being a chef, you're probably pulling in maybe 70, 80K a year, but that's after putting in 20 years into the industry, unless you're jumping around a lot and like looking. But I didn't. That outlook didn't sound good to me. It wasn't appealing. So I went back to school for a little bit to get back and doing IT stuff. But I ended up just finding a job right out the gate while I was actually going to school for it to work on my associates for computer science, and then just kept on working IT. And I've been doing IT stuff for like almost 10 years now. Still no certificates or degrees, but I'm at a startup now in the area, which is super challenging. I'd been the only IT guy there for a while. We recently hired our second IT guy like fucking 4 months ago. But yeah, New York, almost Florida, Bay Area. That's about it.
New York would scare me.
Oh, it's such a wonderful. Oh no, I would say wonderful. I lived in Harlem. It was cool. I rented a couch from some mutual friends that I met actually out here in the Bay Area. Some old friends from the community college. They moved back to their home, which was in New York, Manhattan. One of them was actually working at the restaurant that I'd end up externing at. Worked with her at that restaurant. But New York was crazy. It was so dope though. I ended up in Jersey one night, just like after work on a bender, fucking partying. It was so weird. Like it's true that city does not sleep, because working in a restaurant, I think the shift that I was working at that time, we closed at like 1 a.m. Went to a bar. We were there till like 3 a.m. Went to another bar. We were there until like 5 a.m. And then went to...
Do they keep serving alcohol all night?
They do, but they're not supposed to. But if you're in the industry...
So sorry, I thought it was 4.
You can...
I learned that because here in Washington it's 2 o'clock. But there's none in Vegas.
Right. But yeah,
Vegas you could drink all night long, which...
If you know people in the industry, they'll they know what's up. You can just end up in random restaurants or bars. People are like cooking for you. You're talking about your fucking day and just talking shit about customers. It's a wild industry if you work in a city like that. Yeah, it was cool. Their transit system is on point.
Everything's so on top of itself that it works.
It's so crazy because me, I'm not like from the smallest of towns, like, but when I go up to Seattle and the skyscrapers and stuff, like, I kind of get a little anxious when I can't see like the sky or grass,
Yeah.
And like I've been driving through Seattle and I'm like driving through 2 buildings that are so tall I can't even see the sky.
Yeah.
And that's just like a couple of blocks here and there. I feel like if I went to New York, I would like have to work through being so deep in the city that I can't even see the sky or the mountains, like
what time is it? It's been shady all day.
Yeah, it's like where I know how to survive, like where there's trees and animals and stuff, that's nowhere near here. It's like not my comfort area in the deep city,
Yeah, I loved it though. I could definitely live in that environment. It's wild. It's so insane how many people you see walking up and down the street. Was it like 8 million people commute in and out of New York on any given day or some shit?
That's
so
crazy.
Fucking crazy.
I feel
That's
like
absurd.
I am simultaneously too Midwest nice and also too aggressive to live in New York. Because I have brutal road rage. Like,
oh, I didn't drive the entire time I was there.
Well, that's the thing though, is if I would have to,
yeah,
I might cause mass murder.
I'm glad
that's me. I'm super nice. Like I will hold the door open. I'm yes ma'am, thank you, blah blah blah. I'm super nice to everybody. And then it's like, oh, that motherfucker, like I let him in, he cut me off and didn't even wave. All right, okay, cool. Now we're mad,
Exactly.
It's like,
oh no.
Exactly.
It's like I was so nice until this moment. You just had to be a dick. And now I'm really mad. Like
right. I feel that deep in my soul.
I don't know.
So, in the interest of time, what do we have question-wise about the game?
Oh, yeah. Do you guys have any other questions? I just threw one out there. That was the top of my list. I got more.
I had some. It was gaming related as opposed to
I have some
life related
gaming questions too.
Yeah, I tried to stray from this particular game just because we're not all here. So, and I know that we kind of have thoughts on doing something like that at the end of I almost said Rusthenge.
Whenever we end that, yeah.
I don't know what I'm talking about. Stonehenge. Bring that whole confusion back. But yeah, with Jacob gone, I was thinking more broad terms of Pathfinder and the basically gaming history stuff. But I'm actually going to ask Cody if you have a copy of Lunar Base on a shelf behind you. Is that what that blue box is?
No.
Okay.
That is the top one. The top blue box you're looking at is Doomlings.
Okay.
Oh.
And then the bottom box is a Magic the Gathering box.
I see that, the Magic one, but there's a very small game I kickstarted from Denmark, I think, that was called Lunar Base, and the box looks almost identical. Only like 1,200 people backed it, so I was like, if Cody is another one, that'd be crazy. Anyway,
that would be crazy.
Okay, so it's not. But my question regarding like Paizo stuff was going to be, what is your favorite published adventure that you have played across all Paizo, or run or read, or whatever, the thing you're most excited about playing? Anything, basically your number one Paizo thing.
I feel, if you don't mind me hopping
please.
in, Starfinder 2nd Edition.
Okay, I thought you were going to say Abomination Vaults. And I was thinking about this question. I was like, Nick doesn't say Abomination Vaults.
I thought he was going to say Season of Ghosts because he's been on that kick recently.
Yeah. Yeah, no, Starfinder. Yeah, go for it.
I was just saying, it's I think it's dope seeing that you have Doomlings up there, just because in one of my early podcast history with Strange Gods, one of the players that I was part of the cast with, Claire, after the podcast ended, they ended up, or I think maybe during it, they ended up help write, or they I think they were a writer for Doomlings at some point.
That's
so
cool.
It's kind of cool.
I actually just learned how to play it like a couple days ago, and I've had that game for months. But some friends of mine were finally like, hey, let's play Doomlings. And they taught me how to play. I was like, oh, this is really fun. Like, I'm glad I finally got to learn how to play this damn game.
Cool. Yeah, I don't know anything about it. I just know that Claire was helped develop and write for it, which is cool. Yeah.
But to answer Dylan's question, for me, obviously I love Starfinder 2e. I've mentioned it on the show many times. At some point I will do the we've been talking about it in the background and otherwise, but at some point I will gladly be running Starfinder 2e once in a while on the channel.
I want to play. I want to take this DM's cloak, damn it.
Yeah, no, I will gladly run that. Just let me get through the bulk of this semester, and then I will gladly on a Thursday night, if that's what we end up doing with the Thursday night thing.
I miss making characters for games.
I feel like Starfinder 2nd Edition could get dangerous, man. I feel like
it will.
Once we go in, we might not be able to turn back, you know?
This new adventure, Wheel of Monsters, that just came out, it's so much fun. I have to talk about it for a second, and then I'll actually answer Dylan's question. But
I think you are answering it with that.
Well, no, because, okay, let me answer Dylan's question, then go back to Starfinder.
Okay.
I desperately want to play Season of Ghosts. That is my current obsession as well right now. I want to play that adventure so bad. I do have thoughts and feelings on that, and I'll come back to that later. But as far as Starfinder 2e goes and Wheel of Monsters, it just came out this past month. It is a level 10 adventure.
Damn.
And it is, for those who know Starfinder, Zoe, with an exclamation point, is kind of like the main attraction of this adventure, and he has a show called Wheel of Monsters. And so you are on the show and basically competing and trying to survive. So it is a game show with one of my favorite Starfinder characters. And it just goes all over the place. It's a wild adventure. Cannot wait to run it at some point. Yeah, my original answer, I think, to Dylan's question is Season of Ghosts. But at the same time, it's so hard for me to say that because as far as Paizo written adventures go, that's probably my most look forward to in Pathfinder. But if I had to look at Starfinder first edition, a lot of people sleep on the threefold conspiracy. And I want to play that adventure path. I want to play it so fucking bad. And I don't even know if I have a good reason. But like it just seems so intriguing to me because I love a good mystery. I love a good whodunit situation, and that is a 6-book 1 to 20 whodunit. So
Nice.
Yeah, I think that's my big answer to that. And then we have a bunch of questions in chat too.
Yeah, I got them written down so we can pick.
Oh,
those
Okay,
up
perfect.
when we got a
Cool,
second.
cool. I
So,
didn't want to miss any of those. I was looking at the first one from Noobs Network. What was the first character you played that died?
Well,
Oh
uh,
God.
Let me
That's a
an-
little.
let me
Yeah,
answer
so let's
Dylan's
have
question
Robert
first,
answer
and
that,
then
Dylan's
and then
question.
we can jump to the
And then
question.
Dylan also
I got
answers
the
in
three
that
questions.
question.
Yeah.
My real quick, my answer is 7 Dooms for Sandpoint because that's obviously what we're doing here. But Rise of the Rune Lords was the first campaign that, like, real campaign that I played in, and I love Sandpoint. I don't remember how far we got. Somewhere
We
I
got
think
into
we finished
book 3.
but Sandpoint was like my real first sinking my teeth into like the Paizo published universe. So I'm really excited to go back there. Robert, go
Nice.
for it.
And your question was just to like what am I looking
Any-
forward to play? Any Paizo?
Your favorite Paizo thing.
Favorite Paizo
Could be
thing?
future that you played that you
Jesus
want to
Christ.
run. Like Cody really wants to do threefold conspiracy. Anything.
All of it. I want to run all of it, but I don't have enough lifetimes to be able to do that.
Yeah,
God damn
exactly.
it! But one AP that I absolutely loved and was so close to finishing with another group was Ruins of Aslan. That AP is so fun. What actually got me into it was listening to the Glass Cannon and their brief run of it. I wish they'd complete it, but it is such an intriguing campaign because you start off as colonists. It gets real weird. People are disappearing. You show up, like it's just a cool and a very unique way to approach the start of a campaign, and then it just gets wild. You end up underwater essentially, and you discover more about the Aslanti Empire, the war with Thassalon, more about Earthfall. It's such a giant lore dump as you're playing too that it's a good read as a GM, and if you're into the lore of Galarian and that stuff, it's a huge it plays a huge part into it, I think. I guess a runner-up to that is Serpent's Skull, if you're into more of the lore aspect of Galarian and Pathfinder world, because they deal a lot with the Age of the Serpent, I think is what it's called, which was the time before the Age of Lost Omens, where Galarian was ran, and like the dominating ancestry were the snake people. I can't remember what the name of the species is called right now. Or not Yuan-Ti. That's D&D or Forgotten Realms, but essentially the same. But they were at war with the Cyclops, Cyclopeans, and yeah, it's another huge AP where they just dump lore prior to Earthfall, and it's cool. Lots of sweet reveals in that. A lot of origin stuff. I love it.
I think you'll be happy to know another Starfinder 2e adventure coming out later this month another high level one, another level 10, and it's going to be a more full like one book adventure, kind of like Cosmic Birthday, the first one is, but it's called Empires Devoured, and it's going to be about more of the Aslanti space empire versus the Vesperium.
That's cool.
So there's
That
the
sounds
premise
so
is like
tight.
a peace treaty gone wrong between the two of them,
That sounds tight.
and a
I
whole
will
bunch of
buy
stuff
that
there.
just to read that. I was running against the Aeon Throne for a bit, so I'm into the into the Aslanti space shit.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be really cool. I'm very excited to see what comes of that.
I kind of want to change my answer.
Okay.
So this is more of like
change your answer, then
very
we'll get to the chat
deep,
questions.
unique custom. I would have loved to play Mummy's Mask in 2nd edition.
Oh,
That's like my ideal like game.
Convert it.
If somebody were to like
It's already
run
converted.
2nd edition Mummy's Mask and play it with like an Ancestry Paragon rule set to where you could really just get in there, that'd be a lot of fun.
I don't know much about the Mummy's Mask AP, unfortunately.
I listened to the whole thing through Find the Path, and it was just excellent.
Yeah, I need to. I think I started a few years ago. I just never got back to it for some reason. My podcast playlist is gigantic, and I hate it. I hate looking at it sometimes. Like, oh, there's so much to get through. But
Never ending.
yeah, I digress. Let's get to some of the chat questions. So
Sorry, guys.
the first one asked, I think, was from News Network. Chris, what's up, man? Glad to have you here with us and happy to answer this question. First character you played that died. Anybody want to kick that off?
I'll make my answer very short and sweet because the reality is I've been a player so few times that I do not have a character that has actually fully died yet. So
I actually have an answer to this. I didn't think I did. So I have a 3.5 character. The character who my Robert, my champion, was built after in the playtest that we did. His name is Rurik Ungar. Yeah, Dwarven. In 3.5, I played him as a fighter because I just wanted to play something basic. But he was a fighter whose every cause was for Moradin. But eventually he died. But when he died, it was like he moved beyond into the Dwarven Pantheon. So it was like, I probably cried. I guarantee you. I still have his character sheet somewhere in my garage. It's very old D&D 3.5. And he's like level 20 Dwarven fighter with 3 levels of Dwarven defender and a couple others of this. And when he died, he took his seat by Moradin. And yeah, I've always loved that idea of like your character becoming so powerful to become part of the world, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe we can answer Anchor 89's question at the same time too, because he asked the first edition that you've played. It sounds like Nick, you played third edition or
3.5. Yeah.
3.5. What about you, Cody?
honestly, my first edition, because of the reality, I only started
ttrpg
truly playing ttrpgs like within the past year and a half.
Holy
my first
shit.
one was 5e.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you were that new.
Yeah, no, I'm a baby. I'm a baby when it comes to.
You're like, I was gonna say you're a bearded baby because you have experience. You literally have a beard.
Exactly.
But no, I mean, like that's
He's a
very.
cub in the world
I'm
of
very
TTRPG.
impressed that
You
you're
seem like
so
a
new
weird
to this
natural.
world.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
thank you.
if I would assume that we would have played in middle school together, you know, like that's honestly how it seems.
'cause-
Like,
Well,
I was just gonna say every starting group and game is always like murder hobos, right? No role
Right.
playing.
well, that
nothing
I
like
think that was it for me. Is like I didn't want to be that, because I knew the stereotypes, and I like, even though I hadn't really delved into the world and like started playing until about a year and a half ago, partially because of my partner supporting me and wanting to play them, and being like, hey, you really like this, you should start just being a DM, like do it, figure it out. I ran my first campaign within 3 months of learning the rules for 5e.
God damn, dude.
And because I was just like, I'm so tired of no one wanting to DM, I'm just gonna fucking do it myself. And so that's why I started my my first true campaign was going from the D&D Essentials box into Wild Beyond the Witchlight for 5e, and that game ran for a full year. Like we just finished it like a couple months ago. And I was like, wow, I finally got to run and finish my first ever campaign with a bunch of people who were mostly strangers. Yeah, everyone was strangers, truly.
That's cool. That's awesome.
And,
man.
That's a rarity.
That's super
it
impressive.
totally is.
Yeah.
And
You're
I
so
was
brave.
so
No.
I was so happy because like, and I went in. I mean, if I had 4 feet, they all would have been in the water. Like I was that deep into it. And at the same time, I was also looking
That's a
at
great way to say
Paizo stuff. And I'm just like, wow, I really like this Pathfinder system. I really like the Starfinder system. And so, yeah, I guess within about that 2-year span of time, I was just like, man, I love this stuff. And also, fuck WotC right now because
yeah,
of
that's
all
right.
their
That's when
issues.
it all fucking shit hit the fan too.
Damn, I mean,
That's why I mostly have gone into Paizo stuff now, even though I'll still play some 5e and there's
Okay.
still some 5e stuff I'm excited for. But sorry, that was
You're
much
good.
longer
You're
answer.
good. So we have God damn it, Nick, your character
It's
died.
like Faraday or Nick. Who are you really? Who am I talking to?
Sorry, your character something Ungart.
Rurik.
Rurik. Ungart?
Rurik. Yeah, Rurik
Sorry.
Ungart.
Ungart. Sorry, the first edition that I played was 3rd edition, and I had a player. His dwarf's name was Ungart. Also, first name Ungart, last name Dankil. So I was.
I'm pretty sure
I was
Ungart
tripping
is
up
in
on
the
that.
3.5
It
book
is,
in the
which is
Dwarven
which is
names.
why
Yeah.
it was a pretty common like
yeah.
first name and last name in that. But
It's like
So-
John Smith.
yeah, that was
Come
your
on,
first
man.
character to die, and
Yeah.
Cody, you said you haven't had a character die yet, right? No. What
No.
about you, Dylan?
Oh man, my first system that I ever played was Pathfinder 1. The first thing I ran was the Age of Empires Fantasy Flight, Age of Rebellion, sorry, Fantasy Flight Star Wars game, which is something that I want to eventually do again. That narrative dice system is really fun.
Mm-hmm.
I
agree.
I think that would be a lot more fun to play with people who are more creative than the group that I played with. No offense to them. They were fun, but that was kind of the same similar thing of like, hey, I really want to do this, friends. Will you play with me? And we played probably 10 nights, which was fun, but it of course fell apart like so many other campaigns do. And then my first character that ever died was a gnome bard named Drizos. And the running joke then became I would mention him as my new character and everybody would just say who, and my computer that I got from Robert, like the PC is named who, like it's like who's PC, like, so that has followed me around. But that I loved that character so much. He was just he was so much fun. It was actually the first character that I really built myself and like put time into, because when I first joined in with Robert's campaign, I was joining into his homebrew campaign. I had no idea what I was doing. He was like, what do you want to play? And I was like, this type of thing sounds cool. And then he was like, this is what your character, basically just built me a character sheet. It was like, here you go, jump in. And we were probably like 7th or 8th level. So it was like, I don't know what's happening. So I like jumped right into the deep end, and same kind of thing, just was hooked from there. And I think Drizos is still my login on like some stuff, because he will never die. So
who?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, like I said, it's every time I log into the computer, it's like who?
Could I hop in with how I ran into you, Robert? Do you mind if I explain that?
Yeah, I don't mind.
So when I met Robert, it was through sort of a pay to play situation, and I seen a game, and his post was very well done, lots of information, everything, very enticing. And I was kind of stalking him, doing my research, because I was like, if I'm gonna do this, I want to know who I'm gonna be going through. And it turned out that I had known his voice from a podcast that no longer exists, and that I listened to, and he was in that podcast, and then he was my GM. I was like, hey, are you this guy?
I remember when
like,
that happened in our Discord.
I was like,
bro,
what the
you're
fuck?
famous, Robert.
I was like, you're this guy? No way. I was
Yeah.
like, I felt like I just met, and then now the podcast is no longer even open or
It's
out.
like,
Yeah.
whoa, you're Sizzle
So it's
from,
like
from Strange Gods?
Yeah. And I was just like, oh my
Man.
God, that's so cool. And then now it's like non-existent. So it's
Shout out Strange Gods. Man, I miss playing with
Yeah.
that group. Those group of folks, they were good. And they I started off as a player in that group, and it was a lot of fun. So it got my feet wet with Strange Gods in that crew. Shout out Melkor, Claire, Puddles, Easy, and
I listened to every episode, everybody.
Cat. It was a good show. It was
And-
fun.
Fair.
But yeah, I guess I should answer the question, right? So first character, I guess let me start with the first edition that I played was 3rd edition, D&D 3rd edition, and then moved into 3.5. But during that time, I was kind of I was entrapped into running D&D because I was super into like medieval fantasy video games, and my friend Nick, he ended up handing me a D&D 3.5 PHP or 3rd edition PHP. I was like, what the fuck is this? He's like, read it, check it out, you're gonna run games for us. And I was like, what the fuck do you, well, I don't understand what any of that means. He's like, well, I could, but I don't want to. I'd rather play, and I know you'd
You
run
activated
it.
his
What a
draft
dick.
card.
I don't want to. It's a pain in the ass.
So yeah, that's how I kind of got started. He handed me the book, I read it, I was like, where the fuck has this game been my entire life? Because at that time, I'd already been like, maybe a senior or out of high school, working
old were you?
already. What's up?
How old were you when you got into this world? You said senior, so
Probably after senior, after high school, I think. No, sorry. It was high school, junior high. I was a junior in high school, something like that. I can't remember. I'm old now. I'm not that old, but
I'm about my
I can't
20-year
remember
point.
exactly. But so fuck. What was that? How old are you as a junior in high school in the U.S.?
Roughly
16 or 17, yeah.
So 20 something years, 20 plus years I've been playing ttrpgs. Yeah, so I started with that edition. First character I played was a few years after I had been running my knucklehead friends through games that I really had no idea what I was doing. Just running stuff out of the back of the Game Master's Guide back then, where it's just like a 1-page, 2-page adventure where you got to rescue a unicorn and there's a map. That kind of, so yeah, years after running from that, I was like, I want to play. And I met this random Canadian who just moved to the area on a website. I was like, hey man, do you want to run a game for us or something like that? Yeah, I think I called him or he called me. I don't remember, but it's back when I had like those old brick Nokias. And I was like, hey man, yeah, you can come over and play at my house. And he came over. He was probably like 30 at that time. And he walked into our trailer with his books and folders, and we just played in my bedroom. There was like 4 of us. But I ended up making a paladin named Gwydion. And we played with him for many years after the fact. Even celebrated, I think, my 21st birthday with him. And the gang, but that paladin Gwydion ended up going through turmoil with one of his with a wizard, and wizard ended up becoming evil. Found the Book of Vile Darkness. He read it, and then he was like, I need to give this to the paladin next, so that way he doesn't fuck me over. I read it because I trusted him wholly, and then me and him kind of forced the rest of the party to turn, and we ended up doing bad shit. we ended up in one of the 9 layers of hell, fought some demons. I died on top of a nightmare, fighting for the wizard's life. It was fucking epic, but we were level 21 or 22 at the time. So we played through the epic level handbook at that point. It's fucking crazy. But yeah, it was sick. That was my first character that died. Guidi.
Sounds sick.
Got to level 21. I think I still have the character sheet somewhere too. But yeah.
Now we're all just like thinking about our old characters.
Yeah.
Just like envisioning Jesus falling.
You can't relate.
I
Literally.
can't relate at all. I think that campaign went on for like 3 years too.
Nice.
Level 21, epic. That was fucking hard to do, man.
I think my character, we were playing epic levels, but I think we were making half of the shit up. And
Aren't we?
you know what I did learn?
It's not the fun.
I did learn bonuses don't stack, and we were definitely stacking bonuses back then.
You're like, plus 28 to this hit.
Like gauntlets of ogre power and belt of giant strength +6, both of them. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, you
They
missed
don't
that
stack.
part where it says.
But
yeah.
also, when I played a ranger,
Bonus
we
types.
missed the part where you did combat styles, and you would get a feat for free. We read all that wrong. We read it as like a bonus feat you already have, like you had to have the prerequisites for. So for us, we took it as a bonus feat, and we took the prerequisites anyways. Like we didn't understand. And then I started playing 3.5 in Pathfinder First Edition, and it was like so many other people's interpretation was streamlined into apps and stuff. And I was like, huh?
Oh man.
Yeah.
What? I was like, I've been playing a ranger wrong for 20 fucking years, or whatever.
Yeah, no, I was very lucky. It was like, here's your character, here's the hero lab. It's like, oh, cool. It's just all right here. It wasn't.
I remember writing a character out on like notebook paper.
Yeah, that's
in
crazy.
A notebook. Anchor80 and I could probably attest to that. I'm glad to actually, big shout out to Anchor89, man. You've been here the whole time, and it's yeah, exactly. Thank you, Jacob. AKA
Anchored there
Spellcrafters.
with us.
Yeah, he's anchored here with us. See you. The real OG, not only in the ttrpg world, but also with us here at the Whispers of Doomcast. So we greatly appreciate having you here. Shout out to Chris also. What am I Chris without our buddy Nick here? To be honest, graph paper and pencils. Yes, I do remember drawing maps on graph paper in high school.
Man,
Dude, I did that. I didn't even play games. It was just like, this is cool.
we had
I should have been doing this
maps
for
out.
decades. I just never found the right group.
one of my friends, he had we took a shower wall and mounted it to his bedroom wall, and you could like write on it with dry erase markers and wipe it off. So we had like a big 5 foot by 4 foot thing on the wall, and
That's
we
cool.
sharpied 1-inch squares on it with like a thing. So yeah, this was years ago, but we did what we could,
I legit don't think, even if I would have been able to play back in the day, I don't know that I would have found a group, because like I can't think of anybody from my high school who would have been playing it or even mentioned it. I mean, it was rare to even find people that played like Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh at that point.
We
where
did
I
a lot of
lived.
Magic in high school, but no, only
I
one
don't-
person ever played D&D. So
I don't think
Josh.
anybody in my high school played Magic. I really don't. Like, and my high school was like 700 people.
we had 700 people in my class.
Yeah, I went to a relatively small school in the middle of a
Yeah.
cornfield.
Fair.
But yeah, I legitimately could not name a single person from that school who might have played. So even if my mom hadn't experienced the satanic panic, then I probably still wouldn't have been able to play. Which is so funny to me, because like my parents were not the typical like uber religious people. Like they didn't care that I watched Pokemon, they didn't care that I read Harry Potter, they didn't care about any of that. But all of a sudden I mentioned D&D, and my mom was like, "It's the devil's work." I'm just like,
Yeah.
Where'd that come from?
You ever watch the movie Mazes and Monsters with Tom?
No.
God damn it, Tom Hanks.
Nope.
So good. It's a terrible movie, but it came out around the same time as the Satanic Panic. It was supposed to be a very disparaging movie pointed at D&D, but it's absolutely fucking hilarious. I highly recommend watching it when you have time to waste, or just something to have on in the background. But it's an amazing movie, just from the perspective and the time that it came out. Based on D&D. Dude ends up killing himself, or tries to kill himself because his character dies in D&D.
Oh no!
In his game of D&D, and he goes through like the sewers of New York, thinking that it's like a real dungeon, and he's trying to rescue his friends. It's so fucking hilarious. Anyway, sorry.
No, you're fine.
Do we want to take a break before we answer the next question from chat, or do we just want to charge on through?
I'm good to keep going.
Yeah, same.
I'm good to keep going.
Okay, so the next question from chat, I think this is from Jacob actually. What spurred your interest into the high fantasy genre?
Oh,
I already have a double answer for this.
Go for it.
So this answer for me, the double answer is going to be around the year 2000. Some very special things happened in my life, and that was the Sorcerer's Stone and the Fellowship of the Ring. I was around 9 to 10 or 11 years old when both of those came out. I was born in 91, so I think Lord of the Rings came out in 2000. I was 9, and the first Harry Potter book came out. I was 11 because we pre-ordered it, and I was one of the first people to get it, and we got it hand-delivered by the newscast. Because I was 11 and Harry Potter was 11, and it was like, this is the most amazing book in the world. And from then on out, it was like I've just now always been in love with Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit stuff, and it's always taken over a deep part of me. All the love for elves and dwarves and orcs and magic and bows, and it's just love it all.
Yeah.
I love it all. Can't get enough.
Fair.
That's awesome.
I think mine's a little more indirect, because if I think back to when about I started getting into any kind of fantasy or similar, I feel like I got into JRPGs before I even got into fantasy. Like, because right around the same time that you're talking about, I would have been 3 years younger than that. So, and I didn't grow up reading. I didn't grow up reading The Hobbit or Tolkien's work or Lewis. I didn't read any of them until much later in life, and so I just didn't have that entry point. I remember watching Lord of the Rings and being wildly confused as a child. But then, when Harry Potter came out, that's really, I think, when high fantasy became more of a thing for me. And then that led me to rewatch Lord of the Rings eventually. And but like before any of that, though, I think my first foray into any type of fantasy was playing through Final Fantasy. I was playing Final Fantasy VII, and that was kind of like my entry point into anything like that, anything of the sort. Because I was only probably 6 or 7 when I started playing that game.
That's crazy.
That really is.
That's amazing.
That was like the only teen-rated game my mom would let me play, because she watched me play it, and she's like, these people are polygonal as shit. And she totally missed the Aerith getting stabbed scene, so that was another part of the... But yeah, that was pretty much it for me.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, growing up, don't remember the first time I watched Star Wars. I've always had that, like, it might as well be in my DNA. That original trilogy I've seen those movies 10 billion times. So for me, I think that is where it started, with the sci-fi side of it. Growing up, eventually my dad gave me a copy of The Hobbit, and it was great. And then I tried to read The Fellowship and was like, I don't think I can do this. So I've read The Hobbit many times. I've never actually finished the actual books of the trilogy. I have it on my shelf. It will get read. But yeah, I've read The Hobbit a ton of times. The movies, and then Harry Potter. Harry Potter for me, I was just a little bit. So I was born in '89. So I'm just a little bit older. I read the first book, and then in like the span of the second book and the third book coming out, I was like, I think I'm too cool for this. And then definitely came back around and like was like in line at bookstores for books 6 and 7. Like really that pendulum swung back real hard for me. Yeah, and then from there it was like just finding the next high in a book or a film that was like that, essentially. So I like to over research things, so it was like, what's the next one that I can find? And then yeah, just searching for the next thing. The Dark Tower series by Stephen King is another thing that it's not so much high fantasy, but it is fantasy enough, sci-fi enough, Western enough. It's like a very unique amalgamation of all of that scratches multiple itches in one go.
Amalgamation of brush.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a strange amalgamation of itch scratching that I highly recommend that series. But yeah, so that was basically it. Yeah, same thing for me, is just Star Wars, and then the media around Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter. It was casualty to that for sure.
Yeah, Star Wars especially. So a lot of people aren't into the Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen movies, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I grew up. And to me, Ewan McGregor was my Obi-Wan, you know.
Yeah.
My nickname in high school was Obi-Wan Kanicholas. And
Cool.
I
Was that
fucking
given to you,
love.
or-
Yes, of course. My brother was Sean Solo. All of our
Okay.
friends.
That's cool.
I think my friend Andrew Skywalker.
Oh, that's great.
They all had
funny.
kind of Star Wars names, you know.
That's cool.
And yeah, I think that to me, like the Hayden Christensen, Anakin becoming Vader part was, to me,
Spoilers.
that was it. Like that was one of my favorite parts.
Stupid.
Like,
Sorry. Yeah. No,
someone is in chat. They just left. I'm like, oh
I
my
didn't-
God, they
Yeah.
just-
I didn't hate.
I haven't
didn't
seen it yet.
Hate the
I'm waiting.
prequels. I just disliked them. But
Yeah, they've grown on me.
the saving grace for it all was episode 1, and just the lead up to the Duel of the Fates, man. That shit was so fucking badass. Like, no matter what you say about the prequel trilogy, that shit was probably the dopest part, at least in my opinion.
It took lightsaber dueling to a level it had never
my
been.
God, it was so.
The soundtrack
fucking
is so
sick.
good.
God damn.
Yeah.
This
dude.
guy's got a red face with spikes. What is happening?
and the dialogue.
Yeah.
Hello there.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that's the funny thing to me is like, I didn't really grow up watching Star Wars that much. Like,
Space
I-
fantasy. It's so dope.
it is great. I
Yeah.
just, for what I've actually seen of it, but like, it just wasn't a big thing for a lot
my
of
Star
people
Wars
around
trails
me.
Feel that.
And so like,
Actually, I don't feel that.
Phantom Menace was my first Star Wars movie. I had not seen the others at all. And then by the time I actually really knew anything about New Hope and the original movies, I was like, oh, those came out in the 80s? Why the fuck are they doing 1 through 3 now? That makes no sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
George Lucas
Because
actually,
I mean, I was like 10
it's pretty
when
smart
all
for
that
him to
was
do it
finally
that way.
done.
There's all that acid he did.
You
Yeah.
know, a game I really,
Looking for
really love
Wookiees.
too. Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the
Familiar?
game's
I never
dope.
played it.
So
I've
good.
given up years of my life to that game, and I'll do it again.
They've got a really good phone port of it.
I'm playing
like
through it right now.
$12. Yeah.
On my Switch, but
The combat mechanics of that, like that was to me, it was like it's like they took 3.5 and
That's
threw Star
exactly
Wars
it.
on it,
it was
and it was the
Mhm.
greatest thing that ever was created.
it was
you know,
exactly
imagine-
that.
That's what I'm hoping. You know, like Starfighter Second Edition is going to fill that for me. Is almost like a perfect mixture of, you know, stars and swords in a way.
I can tell you that 2E is going to be much more gun focused than anything. There with some melee build to it, but it's very ranged metagame.
Interesting. I don't mind it. It makes sense in a lot of ways, right? Because I mean, fucking
Lasers.
lasers.
Yeah.
The most destructive thing, I think.
Like,
Yeah.
why would I get
Let
up
me hit
there
you
when
with
I
a
can
stick.
shoot an energy beam?
That's really what it is. I mean, honestly.
You know,
Yeah.
and we don't have to wear these big wide helmets, so we can actually hit.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, my eyes are really down here.
To go back to the Star Wars conversation,
Yes.
the way that the fandom is kind of hating on a lot of the more recent shows and even the most recent trilogy, like I read something somewhere, I can't remember, but like how much hate Ahsoka is getting, and not how much hate, but that show is getting hate, and it's not really the Star Wars that we grew up with, right? It's not the Star Wars that me and Dylan grew up with either.
Mhm.
Like we grew up on the tail end of the first trilogy. You guys grew up with the you know, the second trilogy, and the shows that are coming out now are for the kids. They're
Ahsoka's
adults
more
now.
Clone Wars, right?
Yeah, so they grew up watching
Yeah.
Clone Wars, right? That's
Mhm.
their Star Wars. That's the Star Wars that they grew up
Yeah.
with and that
With-
they love. And
Yeah,
it took me a little bit of effort to go back and rewatch Clone Wars, as well as what's the one with
Rebels.
Rebels? Rebels was dope. Clone Wars
Rebels
was
is
awesome.
really underrated. The art style takes a little bit to get over, but it's a good
Mhm.
show.
Yeah, it took me a long time to get over the animation, but even once I got past it, I was like, man, this is actually, these shows are dope. The narrative, the storytelling is fucking on point, and that's all not Kevin Feige. What the hell's his name?
Kevin Bacon.
Kevin? No. Is it
Dave Filoni?
Dave Filoni? Yeah, that's all Dave Filoni
Okay.
Star Wars, right? So, I mean, and I think he's doing a decent job of continuing with his telling of that Star Wars universe, right? And
Yeah,
I don't
I
mind
think
it.
that fan base that was in the Clone Wars is digging it. It's just
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
you said, there's different levels of fan base in Star Wars. Mine is, you know, I'm the prequel Star Wars year. I'm all about the high end badass lightsaber battles. That's my year of Star Wars.
Yeah.
And then like younger than me and younger than that even is the Clone Wars. Got, you know,
Clone
all
Wars and
about
Rebels.
the
And,
different.
and nobody likes the sequel trilogy, so we're all in agreement there.
Not even the cast.
No, exactly. Yeah.
It's
Robert, I thought you were going to say this earlier, but there is a saying in the Star Wars community that nobody hates Star Wars as much as a Star Wars fan.
fans, yeah.
Yeah, it is. They truly.
I thought you were gonna say that.
I've- We're all vocal about it, right? I
Yeah.
mean, some more than most, and usually it's the ones with the most terrible opinions that are the most vocal about
Yeah.
it. But that's just the way it is on the internet, anyways, right? So
Yeah.
take everything that's
kind of
said
a
on the internet
weird-
with the
Don't go
tiniest
on
grain
Reddit
of
Star
salt.
Wars. Yeah.
But each series is different, a different era of Star Wars. So
Yeah.
like, I'm sure there's people who think that the trilogy is the best of the three. Sorry, that almost made me sick saying it out loud. But just kidding.
Well, for me, in my humble opinion, is that media sucks now. I don't think I personally haven't seen a movie that I really liked or a show that I really, really liked in a long time, but I'm jaded and depressing.
We're getting
so-
old. We're getting old,
You know
man.
what?
We're getting to that
Harris-
jaded and bitter stage in our lives.
Yeah,
know what?
so I
That
just
new
think
Harrison
that I wouldn't
Ford.
like any of it. So
Harrison Ford probably said, "I'll come back only if you kill off my character, so I don't ever have to come back again."
spoilers, dude.
That movie came out 8 years ago, didn't it? No.
something like that.
It's
But
been a while.
speaking of
That
movies
can't be right.
and like
It's not right. I don't think. I hope it's not 8 years ago. but
Actually,
anyways.
it's over
It
6.
might
I
have
wasn't
been.
with my wife when that happened, so
Sorry, go ahead, Cody.
It's totally fine. I was gonna say, speaking of movies and like
2015.
halfway decent movies.
It's
In
9
9
years.
years.
Oh, that was
Sorry.
close.
Sorry.
I was gonna say it had to have been that long ago because I remember seeing it a long time ago.
God damn.
But Ethan and I actually went to go see a movie the other day. We went to go see that new movie, The Wild Robot.
Oh, I want to watch it. Looks fun.
I've never even heard of it.
It's very endearing. It's from DreamWorks, so you know, you're almost guaranteed a good movie. And yeah, it just like people should definitely go watch it. I will say that if you have any doubts, if you want to go watch something that is funny, heartwarming, possibly gut wrenching, Wild Robot is so good. Go see it for sure. And if you have an AMC theater near you, they have a fun bucket and cup with a little figure that goes in the top.
Cool.
I heard good things about the new Transformers movie too.
Really? I wasn't looking forward to that at all. Transformers
Which one?
Yeah, I think so. And then
their
also
origin story.
the AMC movie theaters have a really cool bucket for that one too. I saw the bucket and I would go just to buy that.
God, I'm so
You know
crotchety.
what I really loved was the show, the Disney show Obi-Wan.
I love that.
really
Show.
Mhm.
I enjoyed that too much.
I liked it for what it was. There was a lot of points where it was like, this doesn't make any sense. Like they were just being chased across the rooftop, and now they're just having a 3-minute conversation.
Yeah.
Where'd all those bad guys go? Like stuff like that. But again, it's just like,
For me,
Whatever.
don't think too
Having
hard.
the-
Don't think too hard, and they're great.
the Obi-Wan, Anakin, Darth Vader moment, you know, with like
Mhm.
when the color was changing to red and you like could see the Darth Vader voice, and then
Mhm.
the light was fading blue and you can see the Hayden Christensen in the eyes. I was like, so masterfully done. Like that was the year of my level of Star Wars. Like that's what we wanted. We wanted to see that. And
That's Rogue
Hayden
One for me.
Christensen got a lot of flack,
Everyone
and
was so dope.
I would see him online or on videos talking about how he's like he thought people didn't like it, and I was like, dude, my year of Star Wars, like we love Darth Vader, bro, and you finalized him, you know.
Mhm.
And
I just thought his character was very whiny. I just remember feeling that way all the
That's-
time.
It
Direction.
that's how you
100%
become
was.
Darth Vader, you know,
That's
like
George
You
Lucas.
whiny little.
I don't know.
Bad direction.
For
Bad
me,
direction.
even growing up with that trilogy, I was just like, man, this guy's a whiny bitch. I want to punch him in the nuts. Like I'm 10, and
that's
but
how. But that's kind of fits in, you know, like he's not exactly like the nicest person, you know.
yeah, I get that, but they could have made him just ever so slightly less whiny.
Whiny and entitled.
And
Did
also, I'm glad to see Jacob agrees with me on the Wild Robot.
Did everybody answer? Oh, I don't think. Wait, did everybody answer the question?
I think so.
Spur-
I don't
About
remember
getting
the
into
question.
Robert, you didn't answer how you got into high fantasy.
Oh,
Did you?
right. No,
We get
Yeah.
caught up
everybody else did.
easily.
Sorry, we got a really good Star Wars tangent that
Yeah.
I
Okay.
can go to bed.
Yeah,
happy
I
now.
didn't answer.
Satisfied.
So, let's see. What spurred my interest into the high fantasy genre? Asked by Jacob. So, that is, I think my answer falls in line a little bit with Cody, actually, because I had, well, I guess maybe not the genre, but the like tabletop playing aspect of it. It falls in line because I wasn't aware of D&D. I didn't know such a game existed until late into high school. If I would have known about it prior, I would have jumped in much sooner, because I had read The Hobbit in elementary school, and I read that book at least 2 or 3 times before going into middle school. And then I didn't know about the trilogy until high school, and then I read the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and I loved it. But what fed into the high fantasy genre outside of just reading those, I read Harry Potter also, I wasn't as rabid as a fan as some were, but I couldn't. Yeah, I wasn't as rabid as a fan because I couldn't even get through the last book. To be completely honest, I couldn't read it. I don't know why. It didn't hold me for whatever reason, or I was distracted at that time and just couldn't finish it. But I played a fuck ton of video games instead, like classic RPGs, JRPGs. Like I think this is where it falls in line a little bit with Cody in that I think it was like 1997, 96, something like that, where Final Fantasy VII came out, as well as Final Fantasy Tactics. And I played the fuck out of those. And I absolutely adored Tactics. That is still a game that I play through at least once a year on whatever platform I can. Just because it's turn-based, the story is fucking epic as shit. It's a class system that you have to work through to unlock other subclasses, and to level those up, you unlock abilities, and then you can synergize abilities. Probably, I think that might be my favorite game of all time. Like hands down, Final Fantasy Tactics, PlayStation 1. Love it. I also played like Ogre Tactics and Suikoden. JRPGs, right? So, yeah, that's kind of what got me into it. And I said it in chat that like if I would have known D&D was a thing before that, I would have gladly grabbed the Game Master's Guide, or I guess it would have been like 2nd edition before 3rd, right? So, yeah, that's what's Ultima Online. You guys ever heard of that game? One of the first MMOs. I was playing that before D&D, which consumed many hours of my time in high school as well as summer, because Ultima Online was like one of the first MMOs. Like I didn't even know what the fucking MMO was, and then I learned about EverQuest. I was a little backwards at the time, I think, but the Ultima series, I've gone back and played it, but yeah, classic American like RPGs too. That's kind of spurred and has always held my interest. Yeah, fucking, that's it. That's my answer. I'll leave it at that. Ultima Online.
Legend of Dragoon, anyone?
Yes, I played the fuck out of that.
One of my favorites.
I still have that also.
I remember when that got ported recently onto PSN, and I nutted. Like,
not even bricked up, just flaccid.
No, literally, I didn't even have to work for it. It just was like, here you go, Sony. You earned my money and my nut. Thank you.
Sorry, it's getting late.
One thing we didn't mention, but for me also, was Ocarina of Time, of course. That's so obvious. But playing that video game was like, I need more of that. And nobody said anything about Pokemon. It's not really fantasy, but
I mean, I was going to mention that too with my whole JRPG thing, but
isn't that also 1997?
Pokemon was 96.
96,
and I think Ocarina of Time was 97.
What about Harvest Moon 64?
Bro,
I never played those. My wife is big.
Never played them.
I played the first Harvest Moon on the SNES, and I was so happy because I could never find another game like it until Stardew Valley came out that scratched that same itch that Harvest Moon did, because I loved that game as a kid. I rented that game at Blockbuster and I kept it.
That was like a whole new genre of game. It was like, why am I enjoying these menial tasks? This is so much fun.
I never played those.
Ocarina of Time was 98 for the record.
So fun fact was Zelda. I did not play and finish a Zelda game until Twilight Princess,
which is a great and underrated game.
I've never played that one.
It's really
so good.
Underrated.
Ocarina of Time was the only one I finished.
Like if I mean, I'm still working on this because I just haven't had the time, but like since Switch Online has Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask now at 2, I believe. Like I want to go back and play those after having experienced Twilight Princess, because my god, that game had me in a chokehold after it came out.
So good. That was
And
the first game I actually did beat. I have gone back and beat all the other ones, but yeah,
that one just so good. And it really, I think that's what actually caused me to get into and like Zelda, because I really hadn't. I remember renting Majora and maybe Ocarina of Time from Blockbuster, but I was so confused that I was just like, I don't know what the fuck's happening.
Majora's Mask is the most confusing game. It's not for
a brother a year older than me, and so and we were like, he's a year older than me, but we were kind of like raised at the same, and I've always been considered the smart one, and so it's like he would always go through it first, and I would watch, and I'd be like, and when it was my turn, I was like, all right,
I got this.
This guy's dumb.
My brother is dumb, but in some ways, but also very smart in others and extremely strong. So I wouldn't say it to his face.
Hope he doesn't watch.
He's like strong as he doesn't know what these words mean. He'd be like Dungeons and Dragons. I don't know. Do they fish? Like,
technically, you can fish in this game.
So I have
Zelda.
I have to kind of respond to Anchor 89's question. Anybody play an Atari 2600 or Commodore 64? I answered in chat, but I feel like maybe we can talk about this too. I have, and like some of my earliest memories of gaming is actually with my dad. He worked for Sega here in the Bay Area.
Oh, wow.
So I got a hold of some like early consoles because he was super into it after he retired from the military and got a job at Sega. So he was super into just like playing console games. So he ended up grabbing old school consoles also. He had a nice collection of them. He was super into Star Trek. My mom was super into Star Wars. So I ended up growing up with both for a while. It was, man, that system was so weird, but it was cool to be around as a young kid, right? So this is like maybe 7, 8-ish. It was 7 or 8-ish around that time. So still in elementary school, but being able to play those old school games in a Sega Genesis at the time, the Mega Drive, and then when we brought home the 32-bit Sega Genesis, it was such a fucking wild thing to see, as well as the Sega CD to pop the Genesis onto. I don't know. Do you guys remember the Sega CD?
Yeah.
I think
I had a buddy who was all Sega all the time.
I think my a family friend of ours had that. So I vaguely remember playing Sonic with it.
Oh man, I loved it, dude. It was so dope. Yeah,
I love how. I was gonna say, I love how your dad is like the meme from early middle school, elementary. My dad works at Nintendo, except it's my dad works there for Sega. But for real though.
Yeah, he was a QA tester and lead for a while at the Sega headquarters, and it was cool. Like, he'd take us in, we'd hang out with his coworkers, and we'd just sit around and play games. Me and my brother's names are actually on the credits for Vector Man and Sega Racing USA, or whatever, the Daytona
cool.
USA, which was cool as a kid to see. So yeah, I legacy gamer here.
Nice. Yeah, my dad had a Mega Master System.
Yeah.
So that was the first thing I ever played with, like Duck Hunt and like those classic types of things. The shooter
parents are
games.
very different people.
Yeah. And then,
my dad got arrested and let go for murder.
Oh fuck.
oh goodness.
There's
is
a
not what I
newspaper
expected.
somewhere. There's a newspapers out there somewhere that says that he was arrested and he sat in the holding cell for 24 hours and didn't say a word, and they had to let him go.
He was playing the original game, Manhunt.
Yeah, the most dangerous game.
Yeah.
Jesus, that's fucking crazy.
I did not expect that at all.
Oh, me neither. Holy crap.
My parents had an Atari. I remember them having it in the basement, but we never played with it. I don't even know. I think it worked. But my first console I think I played was PS1. and then I think my brother or my sister broke the like old school Nintendo out of the closet one day, and I was like, "What the fuck is that?" And
what's that great box?
I was like, "What is this
Yeah.
box of wonder?" And then that's when I learned of
That's beautiful.
that's when I learned about Kirby. That's when I learned about Mario, and I mean, I already knew about Mario to some extent, but like Kirby especially, I was like, what is this pink blob, and why do I love him?
Yeah.
Why is he going to become my personality for the next 30 years?
I remember being a child and my grandfather was like, "Hey, do you boys want a PlayStation?" And I was like, "Oh, cool, yeah." I thought we were getting like a jungle gym. I didn't know what a PlayStation was. And this little tiny box
PlayStation.
shows up, and I was like, "What the hell is this?
PlayStation for ants.
How we supposed to play on this?" And it turned out to be like a video game device. It was like, oh, okay, you know.
I did want this. I didn't even know it.
And
What is this magical contraption?
I remember my brother would take the disc out of the game and set the disc on the ground in front of us, and then put the new game in. And then the next time he would lean forward to grab a new game, he would kneel on that disc and break it. And he pretty much broke every game we had the first day. And
You're really bagging on your brother tonight.
yeah,
My brother
we don't
did
have a lot of
that.
good memories.
I understand that completely. My brother broke my original copy of Legend of Dragoon. Speaking of that,
Such a good
that
game.
was grounds for murder, and he also broke our original copy of Final Fantasy VII. Also double grounds for murder, and then
Don't talk. They'll let you off.
yeah, exactly. Then after he moved out randomly when I was in middle school, he took the N64 with him, and he sold it to a pawn shop. And although he did accidentally leave behind our Pokemon Stadium games because they were in one of my drawers, and I was looking all over for the N64. And after all that happened, and I was like, where is it? Like, where did it go? Turned out he sold it in a pawn shop. I was like, and third strikes the charm.
Yeah.
You will die.
Do you remember when you were able to plug your Game Boy games into your Nintendo 64?
Oh yes,
And
that
play
was
it on
the
the TV?
highlight.
It was glorious.
Highlight of
As
my
soon
life.
I
as
don't
that-
think society's gotten much better since. You know,
as soon as that
Like,
happened,
I
Oh.
never had that.
glory
Oh
days.
yep, I remember that, and I remember when the GameCube had the attachment you could put on the bottom that kind of was the same thing, where you could put your Game Boy Advance games in there and play them on the big screen. That was an exciting day right there for me.
I
Oh,
was the
gosh.
kid with the Game Boy, you know, and the light
gotta
would
play
go
it.
by,
Yep.
and you'd hit forward as the street light would go by,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
and then street light attack. You know, Ember.
Have you guys seen this thing?
Dude,
I have.
yes.
I love those.
I need one, but I refuse to pay for one.
I feel that deeply. I want to get one. I keep seeing that Kirby one all over the place, and one day I will pick it up.
I have no
And
idea what that is.
I will torture Ethan with it. It's called an automaton.
It's basically just like it's a slide whistle that's digital, basically. So it like makes noise wherever your fingers are
Yeah.
on there. So it's like the same thing as like those. Ooh.
I haven't had a
type
lot
of
of time to
slide
play
whistles.
with it, but I got it for my kid. He finds
What's
it
it called
entertaining.
again?
Automaton.
They're pretty fun.
I love those things. I remember learning about those randomly in a Japanese class one day, and I was like, I will have one of these, and I will make it everyone's problem.
I wanted to get the larger one, but I couldn't justify paying almost $100 for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like, $30 is okay.
right, exactly. Totally get that. My friend Andy has one of those. He plays it on his streams occasionally.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
He's funny. He mostly plays N64 games. I feel like Dylan would enjoy his channel.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I had
This
another
question.
thought there somewhere.
Is an automaton a real instrument? Question mark.
Is mayonnaise an instrument?
Can be.
Looking over at
I don't
Anchor's
know that reference.
last comment, about cassette tapes. I used to put a cassette tape in my radio, put tape over the holes and put it in my radio and record Funky Monkey. And
So
Funky Monkey was
specific.
our rock radio station back then.
Oh, okay.
And it was like Slipknot, Korn, and I would put a cassette tape in and hit record whenever a badass song, System of a Down, Linkin Park, you know, and I'd hit record, and so I'd always have like a tape of some good songs, you know. And that's
You
when
always miss like the first 10 seconds of the song because you're like, it's the tape in, hit record.
Yeah.
No, I remember that.
Oh man,
I think I missed out on that, like right
Yeah.
at the end of it.
probably you fucking
Or-
youngin.
Or if you had, you could make mixtapes. I don't know if any of you did this, where you would
Yeah,
have like the
100%.
tape and then you had a blank tape and you'd be like, all right, I'm going to put this song here. So I got to play and record. Like if you had the 2 tape deck in one machine, you could do that and make your own literally a mixtape.
What's
I don't
a
remember
tape
that.
deck, Grandpa?
Yeah,
I don't remember that, but I do remember burning songs on the CDs
Mix
via
CDs,
LimeWire.
dude, LimeWire, fucking-
yes.
Yeah, that was the
Napster,
thing,
bro. Oh
That's
my
how I used
God.
to get my I used to have
LimeWire.
a hard drive with PDF files of like every 3.5 book out there.
LimeWire is how I
Yeah.
used to get my viruses.
That's how
Yeah.
everyone got viruses.
But I had like
and
every
their
D-
porn.
every 3.5 book out there on PDF.
Yeah.
From Livewire and FrostWire.
Man.
Ugh.
Third edition, 3.5 edition, the 3.5, those books were fucking like, pristine. The art, the writing, the mechanics were fucking super sweet. I love the direction that Paizo is going and has been going for years. Like I've been such a fan of theirs, like even before they were really what they are today. Like the old Dungeon and Dragon magazines, they were commissioned, not commissioned. I don't know what the legal term for it is, but the Dungeon and Dragon magazines were 2 different subscriptions that you could do or could have. And I remember picking up those magazines from like Barnes and Nobles. The Dungeon magazine was for Dungeon Masters, and then the Dragon magazine was for players. So they'd have like essentially homebrew character options and just ideas that you could do as a player, and same for DMs, which is where I found the Age of Worms campaign was in the Dungeon magazine, because it was a huge like level 1 through 20 campaign arc that didn't reside in like a full campaign book, which I don't think was something that they really had back then either. I can't think of anything that really did, and that's kind of the format that they used going from those Dungeons and Dragon magazines into the adventure paths that they have now, and have kind of just it's evolved into that and has been, and it's been a pretty like straightforward and true thing that's worked for them, because the adventure path and campaign is released on like a frequent basis has been fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
I think that's been a lot of people that I've met, like, has been their complaint about with 5e and its schedule releases. It's just like you get one big book every once in a while. And as far as campaigns go, like you might get 1 a year, 2 a year. And a lot of people were saying like they miss essentially the adventure path version of what D&D might have been at one point. Or something close enough to it. I think that's part of what made me really like Paizo as well, even before all of the licensing craziness. Was just like I can get a new adventure essentially every month. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Am I gonna play according to that schedule? Probably not. But
man, I know that over at the Noobs Guild, a lot of the success of Recruit there is a lot of people are saying, man, I just can't support Wizards of the Coast anymore. They're not going to get another dime,
Yep.
And that's been so many of the newer players coming to Pathfinder 2nd edition specifically because They're big D&D fans, but Wizards of the Coast, they're just sick of typing in their debit card number, you know?
Yeah. Tim was just saying in chat that when they cut Paizo, who was making their best modules and campaigns, yeah, and how Paizo is pretty much going to 3-book APs for the majority now.
I don't mind that format actually, just because it
either.
allows a little bit more freedom for the game master to jump from like one style of campaign to another, rather than like having this whole throughput of levels 1 through 20
1 through 20, yeah.
Yeah. That's like, we're not, maybe we can feel this, you know, upper level, mid-level campaign. We can switch gears before we go on. So
the reality of
I
it
didn't
is
realize it,
people
but
can't play that long.
Yeah,
my neighbor,
yeah,
she's like 30 feet in that direction, maybe 40 or 50. She works at Wizards of the Coast up in Seattle.
Flip her off every day.
I've never told her how I felt.
Yeah.
She's like, when people bring up that she works there, I'm like, that's so great. Yeah.
It is.
And,
It
like,
is
that's
cool.
all.
It is cool.
Yeah.
Like to be.
She was telling me
part
about the like character she plays in the office. I was like, all right, that's pretty fucking cool. You know,
It's cool
Right,
to be
it's like-
part
it's like-
of like that and say that it's just like the historical value of it, and to say that part of Wizards of the Coast is such a.
And it's not like she's like making
Exactly.
these decisions.
yeah.
Yeah.
I did
Yeah,
try to
it's a
get Eric Mona to hire me on as a personal assistant, but he moved. So I was like, dude, I'll even wire her house and stuff.
Oh god, that's
He's like,
funny.
unfortunately, I'm moving.
That's
Don't.
funny. Yeah. Like what Tim said, usually the employees are pretty great. It's just all the corporate decisions and executives that are
That's usually how it
Hot
works in a lot of
garbage.
places.
a lot of companies. Yeah.
Yeah, I could say that for my own too.
Paizo's like, it was like the inner people making all the gears turn are now the people, you know, making all the rules too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I nearly worked for Paizo for a second, or at least I was going to apply, but they have this whole weird thing with their pay program or whatever, to where only certain states they can only pay you in certain states, so they can only hire in certain states. And if I wanted to work for Paizo, the closest state I could move to work for them would be Indiana.
well,
Yeah,
they
that's
probably
weird.
changed the rules. Eric Mona moved away. He moved over towards you, so you should look into that.
No, I already did. This was not that long ago.
Oh.
This was like maybe 6 months ago.
I look at their hiring on their website, looking at them like, I don't qualify
Yeah.
for any of
Well, that's
these.
the thing, is like they were hiring for customer service, and it like I was like, I can do that. That's what I do now, and I hate it, but I'd rather do it for Paizo.
Right now.
And so yeah, they have weird restrictions because of their taxes or some weird fuckery.
We currently have
And-
no open positions.
Yeah, that's the other thing, they hire very quickly.
Yeah, there's
So
10,000 of us all
right,
refreshing
exactly.
that
We're all
page
just
every
like,
day.
let us
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
I will be that random customer service person who makes an adventure path. Now let me in. So-
Someone calls over for like someone calls for customer service. They need some help with something, and they're like, "Why have you been on the phone with this guy for 3 hours?" He's like, "Dude, we just rolled initiative. Chill." Like,
Yeah.
I was telling him about my adventure path idea. Back off.
And now we're playing it.
Well, that's the other thing that I think too, is their customer service doesn't have phones. It's all emails.
That's the dream.
That is the dream. Although I mean, my job is mostly that, but every once in a while I get that call and I'm just like, can you?
Yeah, I like flinch when my phone rings.
I
like,
do.
Email me, man.
I look at it and then half the time I'm just like, oh, it's that one. I would rather die than answer this phone.
And then you answer the phone.
And then I answer the phone because I have to, because it's my job.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, cool, this conversation could have been an email.
I love that.
You stupid bitch.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
get the Teams messages where it's like, are you free to call?
No.
Just type your question first.
I'm never free to call. Now type
Yeah.
your question. My
Can't
phone
you
is
just
forever
ask?
broken.
Anyway.
But yeah, Paizo, hire me. Anyway.
Yeah,
Paizo, hire us.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Or
Paizo.
we'll settle for a sponsor. You know.
No,
just
no,
say-
me first.
I think we're a little too raunchy for them.
Yeah, we're
No. Have you listened to Narrative Declaration? Because
I have actually some of their stuff on YouTube. Yeah, it's they're fucking hilarious. They're
really funny.
They're so wild and out there. Their energy is
Hey,
so
you know,
so crazy. I
love it.
I can't keep up. It's
Glass
so good. It
Cannon's
is so good
official.
though.
Find the Path is official. Hideous Laughter is official.
That's
Oh, I
also
didn't know
true.
HLP
Time,
was.
just giving some time.
Is it HLP?
Yeah.
I'm fairly certain.
I was just
yeah.
starting to listen to, for a while actually, I started to listen to the Crimson Throne thing that they're doing.
Oh wow.
And
cool.
they were saying that they're official.
Well, they've been at it for a lot longer than us, so
That's also true.
Go.
Give us another year or
Two.
so.
Yeah, a year or two.
And then, yeah, once we start making our way through 7 Dooms, then they can.
Well, you know, GCP was at it for like
5
multiple years, and
Yeah.
they got super.
Five,
you
five
know,
or
I mean,
6 years.
we're still at 6 months. So
I
yeah.
think
Right.
I caught GCP at like 2 years into it, and then caught up. But yeah, they
Yeah, and
inspired
you go
me to do
back and
this.
listen to episode 1 of Giant Slayer. It's
Bad,
the
man.
quality is nowhere near what they have now. I still remember Troy saying, "Oh God, oh gods."
Yeah.
That's so
Yeah,
classic.
Tim. I think you're right, Tim. Paizo does pick up a lot of contractors too. That's also very true. I don't know if the contractors still have to abide by the weird payment rules or not, but yeah, I know Paizo has mentioned that they want to get that fixed with their system, but who knows when that will happen.
Well, we're approaching the 10 p.m. mark. Do we have any quick lightning round questions for each other, or from chat?
I'm trying to remember.
Any
I really like the-
burning inquiries from either of us about the game? or-
Actually,
yeah.
I had something that I wanted to bring up from earlier.
Sorry, I was laughing.
So, I want something I had been thinking about, and something that has come up in conversations that I've seen on Twitter.
Ooh.
Is so back to seasons of Ghosts. There is a overwhelming, at least in my circles, opinion that I think ties into running that campaign specifically. So I'm interested in this because I would love to run it. I'd love to do an AP of it. But the thing is Season of Ghosts is based in Tianxia, which is very heavily Asian, and the people who wrote it, all from Asian backgrounds. And there is,
I'm Asian.
and right, exactly. And so Robert, you're kind of the exception to
It's
this.
been vetted. It's been vetted by
But,
a
like-
buddy of mine.
Right, but that's the thing though, is like I see a lot of comments from people online who are AAPI or other POC people, and where it's like, a lot of APs are very white. They're very white, they're very male. And when it comes to specific APs like Season of Ghosts, it's like I want to play or run it, but I also acknowledge that I am a white man.
So
And so it's like, how do I avoid further perpetuating the issue where a lot of POC people aren't, I keep saying people, that's redundant, but POC aren't getting representation in an adventure path where they very clearly should, because it's very heavily oriented to AAPI cultures. So that's where I'm
Robert
just
run
like, I'm like, it's like, Robert, we have Robert, that's great, but then the rest of us are white.
I can
And
just run
so-
it. No, it'll be
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
No,
Right, but-
I feel you. I feel you.
That's the thing though, is like, I know immediately that there would be flack, and it would be because
I don't.
I
Honestly,
think if you address it just the way that you just did,
Yeah.
Like just like we are not we're not appropriating. This is a representation, and this is us doing this. If you want to watch other people POC the AAPI do this, we're not that. So go, if this is an issue for you, find it somewhere else. But we want to try to play this and do it justice, respectfully. But
I think
that's my opinion of it. Like,
I get that, and I think that's part of the problem. Not that opinion specifically, but I've the clap back to that I see often is when it comes to recruitment for APs. Like a lot of POC people, I keep doing that. POC get either skipped over or just something in the process of recruiting for these AP shows.
Oh, so you're talking about like specifically for shows, as in the showrunner is
specifically
trying to,
for shows.
The showrunner's trying to recruit for it, and POC aren't responding, or
either aren't responding or are getting skipped over.
Yeah.
And so like in our case, I mean, our showrunner is AAPI, so I don't foresee that being a problem as to where people are being skipped over. But
so I'll jump in and just say, from my perspective as a showrunner, in my brief like run of trying to put a show together, especially with Whispers of Doom, I had it was a very quick and brief turnaround from when I posted those casting calls. But to be completely honest, I didn't get a lot of response from a lot of POC or women. As much as I tried to post in places where I thought I might be able to find interest, it just didn't land, unfortunately. So I don't know what else could be done about that, It was very quick. I was looking for a quick turnaround, and it would probably take a lot more legwork from a showrunner to put the effort in to find people that might match what they're looking for. And I could have kept the casting call going out longer to fill the roles that I was looking for, but I liked what I'd seen within that amount of time that got us going. So I can't speak to other showrunners or anything like that, but the people that are clapping back, maybe they, instead of clapping back, maybe offer, instead of being triggered, I guess. Like, offer yourself up as somebody that might be willing and able to be part of a show or otherwise, right? Like, make yourself available to represent and be present in shows that need more representation. Right? Like, I'd love to have a woman, female, represented on any of my shows. There is, but I want more. I want more representation, but it's just, I'm working within the confines that I have available to me, and the time constraints that I have also. So
the population of people who play TTRPGs is
that also
heavily white men.
Right. And where do you even find people in some circles? Because it's like there's no one place where everyone's looking. Like, everyone's somewhere just a little different.
Like ttrpgjobs.com.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, but now
there you go.
Since we've started, or at least I've started to join different networks and Discord servers and that, I feel like the pool for finding like-minded folk that are interested in joining this, it's more available now. But those that respond are still few and far between. And I hate being, or like even putting myself in that position where I have to, like, I want to fill this role because I need that token person, right? That's not a good place to be either.
It's a very fine line.
And
sure, because then you're I
don't want to be that person either. So I'm working off of the pool of people that are interested and have the same interest. And, you know, I've had conversations with people prior to all of you here. Like I've known Dylan for years, and I know he's, you know, he's down, he's super into it. And I appreciate, you know, Cody, Nick, and Jacob for reaching out and joining me in this project. And, you know, jumping into the universe of darkness as we continue to navigate this project that is Whispers of Doom and Death Dream Studio. But yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
Especially in this the population of fandom that we're working within, right?
Mhm.
It is primarily dominated by white men, and it's yeah. I'd love
With,
nothing more than to break that. And, you know, as a POC myself, you know, to be heading this, I think is a step in the right direction. But
Yeah.
at the same time, we need to be responsive. And, you know,
Right. Yeah, and that's what I kind of wanted to bring up that conversation, just because I think it's an important conversation, and also two, having Robert, who is POC, and specifically when talking about Season of Ghosts, it's like Robert kind of being a key person in that conversation, in my opinion, just being a showrunner, AAPI, and other factors. So that's why I kind of wanted to bring it up. Plus, it's just something that I've been seeing so much of.
I think
Yeah.
the internet
Season of Ghosts, from what I've heard, from somebody I know who grew up in China, said that, you know, the D&D's Oriental Adventures was obviously made by white people.
Oh, 100%.
Right.
That's old school fucking.
And that's
the
the way it was
from-
explained to me. And my friend who grew up in China said when they were reading the Tian Jia Lost Omens book that it reminded him of his childhood.
Yeah.
That it was that spot on of some, obviously not the exact same, but very similar. And I really wanted to play Season of Ghosts because I want to play in that cultural world. I think that's gonna be badass, and I want to play it from a character who's not from that world, so I get to experience it as it is. And I think for me to do so, it would be key to have someone in play who can help bring out that culture and that flavor, you know, that I have no idea. I mean, all I have is television, you know, and that's not great to go use, you know. And so, like, for me, it'd be great to have someone run it who could get into that a little more.
Yeah.
And, really play it out and make it like we're exploring a new world, you know.
Yeah.
And even coming from my perspective, I'm pretty fucking whitewashed. Like, I grew up next to a military base that was predominantly all fucking white males. So, yeah, it's yeah, I'm not. I'm a coconut is what I like to say. Right, brown on the outside, brought up white,
Milky on the inside.
milky on the sure, yeah, full of cum. Wait, what?
Ew.
Well, hold on a minute.
Need to empty my balls.
Well, this is a call out specifically to you, my friend Danny, however you actually say your last name. Run Season of Ghosts with us, you beautiful Ravensburger working man.
I don't know who you are, Danny, but we'd love to have you run it for us. Or just in general. Who's Danny? Let's talk about Danny.
Yeah, I want to know more about Danny.
Danny actually helped on the Tianxia World Guide as well.
Okay.
I forget what section he wrote, but yeah, Danny's a fun guy. He was working with Roll20 for a while. Now he is a marketing manager for Ravensburger, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay. I'm familiar with Ravensburger.
Yeah, and he's just a really sweet, fun human being. So he's been a 5e guy forever, though. I don't know if he really has anything much beyond contributing to the Tianxia World Guide for Pathfinder. But I'm like, he's someone that I think of when it's like, oh man, if I were to run Season of Ghosts as an AP with people, I'd love to have Danny as a part of that, just because of who he is as a person. So then you'd have someone who is also AAPI, so adding more of that diversity to our group, as well as being a queer AAPI person. So, yeah. Hi, Danny. Big hugs for you. Love you long time.
Shout out, Danny. Come play with us.
Come play with us, Danny.
Come
No,
play.
Standing
it'd
at
be
the end of the
really-
hallway.
It'd be really great
Yeah.
to have someone as a player too, who if someone was in the game who like knew a lot about Tian Sha and they were playing a character who was from Tian Sha, you have like a character who's not from that world in it, and then you have someone who is, who knows a lot about it. That could be really cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Break the 5e mold. Join us, Danny.
Do it.
Hmm.
Leave it behind.
us.
Oh,
Um,
scared me.
yeah.
I didn't watch
Do we
it
sound
happen, so I was
enticing?
In one way or another.
Oh man. Jeez, OP. Who the fuck says that? Do you guys have you heard anybody else say jeez OP like that? Like, man.
Me.
Yeah. Anyways, I
Sit
digress.
in a one house radius in the layout.
Well, we are past the scheduled time for tonight, so I think we're just gonna cut it here. Thank you all for joining us in chat. Thank you all for the good questions and answers. It was a lot of fun. I feel like we should do this a little bit more often. With even Jacob here, would be a lot of fun. I think
He was here in our hearts.
Yeah, he was here.
And in
He's
our
part of the
chat.
chat.
and chat spell crashes. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. We learned a lot about each other tonight, and it was cool. It was cool, especially being so remote from each other. It's nice to be able to get together like this and chat it out.
Yeah, I don't have any in real life friends.
Shut up, dude.
No, I swear, all my friends are on Discord.
Oh my gosh.
I haven't seen him in real life in so long. They all got babies, and it's like, you want to come hang out with my baby?
Well, you guys are invited
No.
to my baby's birthday party if you're in the area
Oh, yeah,
and
that's right.
available. So come through
Road
if you
trip.
can.
Yeah.
If you're in chat, DM me. If I like you, I'll give you the address.
Press the vibe check real quick.
If I
It's a
don't,
potluck.
it is a BYOB situation. So yeah. Anything else? I don't know what else to say. Suck a dick.
Live
Bye
by the
bye.
Live by the die.
Live by the die.
And die by the die.
I thought
Go
that's where you
follow
were
our-
going, and I was waiting. I was like,
Yeah.
"We're about to do it."
Go follow
Then
our
you said
fucking
something
TikTok.
Something way
Suck a dick.
different.
Tim said it's too far south for me. Understandable. It is.
Very far west
Yeah.
for me.
Maybe we'll put it up on Twitch. We'll stream it. And join the chat.
Oh, jeez. Okay. I think I'm
Fun
gonna
times.
cut it here. Let me switch
Bye,
the seats.
everybody.
Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Bye.
Oh wait, that's the wrong one. Damn it. And we're
Uh-oh.
still audio live.